Tardozzi tips his hat to Ducati and Marc Marquez, the sweet fruit of years of labor. In the ever-evolving world of MotoGP, victories aren't just earned on the racetrack. They're forged in boardrooms, test tracks, and through late nights in the garage. They come from vision, grit, patience, and relentless pursuit. And that's exactly what made Marc Marquez's dominant win at the Qatar Grand Prix feel like more than just another first-place finish. It felt like the turning of a page in Ducati's long, red-clad journey back to glory. Under the floodlights of the Luzail International Circuit, surrounded by the desert's dry winds and electric anticipation, Marquez delivered a masterclass. Despite an early incident with his younger brother, Alex Marquez, which damaged a wing on his rear fairing, the elder Marquez remained unfazed. Cool, calculated, and in perfect harmony with his Ducati Desmacedesi GP, he not only clinched the Grand Prix but also the sprint race the night before. That makes it 7 wins out of 8 races this season, a staggering stat, one worthy of legends. For Davide Tardozzi, the veteran Ducati team manager and voice of experience in the paddock, this wasn't just a celebration of a weekend win, it was vindication. In an interview with TNT Sports he said, "What we're seeing now is the result of years of hard work. This didn't happen overnight. Ducati has been building toward this moment for a long time." But Tardozzi was quick to spread the credit. While much of the spotlight has fallen on Marquez's meteoric start in red, he made sure to acknowledge Francesco Bagnaia, the rider who, in 2022, broke Ducati's 15-year championship drought. "We owe a lot to Pecco," Tardozzi said. "He's been leading the development of this bike for years. Without his feedback and leadership, we wouldn't be here." Since Gigi Dall'Igna took the technical reins at Ducati, the Desmacedesi has transformed. Once seen as a straight-line rocket that struggled in the corners, the bike is now a complete package. Agile, balanced, and consistent. It's no longer the underdog. It's the standard everyone's chasing. When Ducati signed Marc Marquez, many in the paddock raised their eyebrows. Why take a risk on a rider who'd been through so many injuries, whose prime seemed behind him? But Ducati saw something others didn't, a spark that hadn't dimmed, a champion still hungry, still dangerous. "Marc didn't come here to fade quietly into retirement," Tardozzi said. "He came here to prove something, not just to the world, but to himself. And in doing so, he's brought new energy, a fresh perspective, and an edge that's lifting the entire team." In Qatar, Marquez proved that his mastery of the sport is alive and well. He let the race come to him, choosing not to lead early but to manage his tires and time his moves. He rode with the poise of a veteran and the hunger of a rookie. He picked off rivals Franco Morbidelli and Maverick Vinales with precision, making it look effortless. Tardozzi insists there's no secret sauce behind this newfound dominance. "It's all about balance," he said. "The collaboration between riders and technicians, the unity of our team. The bikes are fundamentally the same for each rider, just minor adjustments, and that stability is key. It's that same spirit of balance that fuels Ducati's future planning." Tardozzi spoke with visible pride about their rising star, Fermin Aldeguer, a young Spanish talent they believe is destined for greatness. "We have a lot of faith in Fermin. He's going to be a big part of our future." The Qatar Grand Prix is notorious for brutal tire degradation, especially on the front. Many riders fall into the trap of pushing too hard too early. Marquez, though, played it cool. He managed his tires like a poker player, watching every hand before going all in at the perfect moment. "Marc controlled the race beautifully," said TNT Sports analyst Sylvain Guintoli. "He didn't rush it. He saved his tires, picked his moments, and when the time came, he was ready." Even the early scuffle with his brother Alex, which tore off part of his rear wing, didn't faze him. "He probably felt it," said fellow analyst Michael Laverty. "But it didn't slow him down. That's how dialed in Marc is right now. This isn't just a good season for Ducati, it feels like the start of an era. With a mix of experienced champions like Marquez and Bagnaia, and up-and-comers like Aldeguer waiting in the wings, the Italian brand is more than back. It's redefining what dominance looks like in MotoGP. As for Marc Marquez, after years of injury, doubt, and questions about his future, he's doing what legends do, rewriting his story. This time, in Ducati red, with a fire that refuses to die out. MotoGP has rarely felt this alive. And we're just getting started. The Matador returns. Marc Marquez conquers Luzail with strategy, grit, and grace. Under the bright artificial lights of Luzail International Circuit, where the desert meets destiny, Marc Marquez didn't just win a Grand Prix. He orchestrated a masterpiece. In a place that had often been a graveyard for his hopes, the 8-time world champion rewrote the script with poise, intelligence, and a fire that hasn't flickered in over a decade. This wasn't just about crossing the finish line first. It was a performance, a statement, a quiet rebellion against expectation. For Marquez, Qatar wasn't supposed to be the setting for a triumph. He said it himself heading into the weekend, "This will be a tough one." And yet, under those stadium lights glowing like 1,000 moons, the Spaniard reminded the world why legends don't follow trends, they make them. Since his MotoGP debut in 2013, Marquez had only once won in Luzail, back in 2014, when his talent was still a warning shot, not yet a legacy. In the years since, this Middle Eastern circuit became something of a mirage for him, always in sight, but never within reach. Coming into the Qatar GP, he wasn't the favorite. Not by form, not by history, not by the numbers. Ducati had long viewed this race as Bagnaia stage, a place where the reigning world champion could reassert himself. Add to that the threat of Alex Marquez, who led the standings, and the unpredictable brilliance of riders like Fabio Di Giannantonio, and the deck seemed stacked against Marc. But what do you do when you're dealt a bad hand? If you're Marc Marquez, you bluff with a grin and play like you've already won. Friday's free practices painted a picture of calm competition. Marquez looked good, but not great. Bagnaia looked better. And then Saturday rolled in with its usual drama. In a twist of fate that only MotoGP could deliver, Bagnaia crashed out in Q2 and got saddled with a P11 grid start. Then, in the sprint, a bizarre fuel tank issue haunted him again, costing him dearly. It was chaos, and Marc was ready. With the composure of a matador facing a storming bull, Marquez snatched pole from his younger brother, Alex, setting a new lap record in the process. The sprint race. Clinical. He controlled it from the front like a veteran conductor guiding an orchestra. But Sunday, that was the real test. This wasn't just another trophy on the shelf. It was a spiritual victory. An emotional pivot. A defiant reminder that Marc Marquez is far from finished. He called it his most important weekend of the season, and he meant it. What was supposed to be a race where the tide turned against him became the one that may define his year. Leaving one of his weakest tracks with a perfect score and a 17-point lead in the championship? That's not just winning, it's rewriting destiny. In a season billed as a new chapter for MotoGP, it was the old master who stole the show. And as the desert winds settled and the paddock packed up, the message was clear. Marc Marquez didn't just survive Luzail. He conquered it, with a smile, a strategy, and the soul of a fighter who still has something left to prove.